Here, admire it now, reprimanded the angry Mark to his wife. What problems now because of the daughter? It's your fault for spoiling the girl. Valerie sat at the table in the kitchen, propped her fist on her cheek and cried softly. Well, she's the only one we've got. After 3 miscarriages. She's pregnant, yes, but why scream like that? She's not the first, she won't be the last. And if she has a baby, we'll get used to it. Or what? Mark, will you kick them out? I tell you one thing, but you're thinking about something else. You see, I'm ashamed in front of people. Mark waved his hand. Their family was respected in the area, they were famous for their honor. All the girls in their family always married wisely, and here, the latest representative surprised everyone. She got pregnant without a husband. And this, my dear, let's discuss. Valerie said slowly. I was talking to a neighbor the other day. Her oldest son is back from the army. He found a job, but there's nowhere for him to live. He's sleeping in a room. Maybe we should marry him to our daughter. So they're beggars. The man objected. We can't negotiate with the rich. The rich have a choice, but these poor have perpetual material problems. The man looked at his wife and wondered if he understood what his wife was hinting at. She offered to bribe the groom. The neighbor didn't resist the offer. She patted her round eyes and smiled. Oh, what a joy! Natalie is yours. I like it so much. I agree, and the fact that she's pregnant, it's not a problem. Kevin is kind. He loves children. You know how he takes care of his little brothers and sister. The family next door had 3 other boys and a girl in addition to their son Kevin. Mark glanced over at his wife. They were sitting at a round table with lots of fruit, meat, and sweets, the way the family was trying to get the neighbor's approval for the wedding. Mark was very embarrassed, for he wanted a very different future for his daughter. But his wife, Valerie, even seemed happy about this turn of events. Oh, honey, when we're a family, I'll help our children and you too. You'll be just like a sister to me. And Mark will help his son-in-law. Kevin doesn't have a father, and Mark's always wanted a son, so what's Kevin not his son? Mark and Valerie returned home happy. The woman held her husband's hand and smiled all the way home, while Mark only resented it quietly. Why did you promise her we'd help them, silly? Won't we, Mark? The next afternoon they got in the car and went to visit their daughter, Natalie. She lived in a small apartment, studying at the local college. The man had only recently bought the apartment because the neighborhood was still actively building houses. The apartment was worth a lot of money. Mark had bought it with the intention of giving it to his daughter as a gift. But he didn't have time to carry out his plan because Natalie became pregnant. They had already pulled up to the brick house, but Mark didn't even want to get out of the car. You go on your own. I'll wait here. I can't look at Natalie, the traitor. Be sure to discuss the whole situation with her. Tell her that her father is scolding her. And if she thinks of disobeying me, tell her to pack her things and move out of my apartment. I'd rather rent it out for money. Valerie frowned and defended her daughter, as she always did. Is that any way to talk about your own daughter? You'll see, she'll agree to anything. I'll be sure to talk to her. It was a strange date. Kevin went to meet Natalie as if it were the worst day of his life. Downcast, sad, Natalie was sitting where they had agreed to meet. It was clear from her look that she, too, was extremely unhappy. Oh, why is she so dressed up? Worried her mother, who was hiding nearby. I specifically bought her a new dress so her belly wouldn't be visible, and she came in a tight one. Well, she's doing it out of spite. Kevin looked silently at the bride-to-be's bulging belly. That wasn't our agreement, he later told Mark. She's about to have a baby. What kind of wedding can we talk about? No, I won't take that responsibility. Mark grabbed the groom firmly by the shoulder. Boy, you don't jump to conclusions. As compensation for the baby, I'll give you an apartment in the new neighborhood. How's that for an offer? You're out of your mind. Kevin hesitated. And what apartment? Natalie sat in front of the TV all day, devouring the food her mother brought or her husband, Kevin, cooked. Why are you looking at me like that? She grumbled at him. First time you've seen a woman? First time like you, really, unkempt. always in pajamas. Who do I have to dress up for? I'm in my own house. To my great regret, all of a sudden you showed up. I'm telling you right away. I don't need a husband. My mom and dad need you. I'm going to have a baby and live with him in my room, and you'll still sleep in the kitchen on the couch. And when the baby grows up, you won't even be needed anymore. So don't get used to it here, Natalie answered defiantly. Kevin was very angry with her at such moments. He wanted to be mean to her in return. He had gotten the papers for the apartment from his father-in-law a long time ago, but he didn't want to make his roommate nervous anymore. But who was she if not his cohabitant? After all, it turns out she was living in his apartment now. Mark and Valerie decided not to tell their daughter about this, so he tried not to pay attention to Natalie's nonsensical remarks. Kevin cleaned the apartment himself, did the laundry, and cooked the food. Natalie chuckled at first, but then she got serious about Kevin. He's a strange guy. Too much of a housekeeper, the kind you can't find anywhere else these days. Danny, who accidentally got Natalie pregnant, did not have such qualities, never helped her, only disappeared with his friends, and repaired cars for free. Suddenly Natalie fell ill, lay in bed all day, covered her head with a blanket. She felt so bad, but she was silent, only crying into her pillow. Kevin made a delicious dinner of spaghetti, chicken, and salad. He ate, and then he remembered about Natalie, knocked on her door. Come eat. Dinner's ready. But she didn't answer. As night neared, the young man decided to go into her room with a tray of food. Here, I brought you something to eat, since you're being naughty. I'm not hungry, Natalie replied. Are you sick or something? Why don't you say anything? We should call a doctor, Kevin said. Don't. Who needs me? I'll lie down for a while, and it'll all go away. I can't even tell my mom I'm sick. Nobody needs me, you know? And my baby. Nobody needs me. She seemed about to have a tantrum. Kevin patiently picked up the phone and called an ambulance, then touched Natalie's forehead and fetched a water-soaked rag. Don't worry about it. It's nothing, he said after examining the woman. It's just a cold. My mother had the same thing when she was pregnant with my sister. Really? Natalie looked hopefully at Kevin, forgetting her dislike. Of course. You go ahead and get out of bed. Tidy yourself up a bit. You need to change into all your dry clothes. Soon medics arrived and examined the pregnant woman. It turned out to be a common cold. They prescribed the necessary medications and recommended bed rest. Neighbors wondered about Natalie, and her father answered. He and Kevin got married a long time ago. They were in a secret relationship. It turns out she's pregnant. They believed him because he was an honest man. His wife, Valerie, went to visit Kevin's mother every day, and the women became friends. Kevin, can I come to your house? Natalie asked. I miss my home so much, but my father is too embarrassed to see me. At least this way, I'll be at your home. I'd be glad to. I want to go home myself. Kevin smiled. The relationship between them improved considerably after that incident, and Natalie began to treat her husband as a friend. Kevin and his parents' house was noisy. All the children ran around pregnant Natalie. She talked to them, even brought gifts. Suddenly, the girl's character changed a lot. She became sentimental, kind, and gentle. Natalie sat in someone else's house all day waiting for her father. Mom came running right away, but Mark didn't. Dad is still mad at me. He hasn't forgiven me, Natalie thought to herself. Mark sat lonely outside his house, sad. He knew that Natalie and her husband had arrived, but there was no way he could afford to visit his daughter. There was still resentment against Natalie in his heart. A strange-looking guy on a motorcycle stopped outside the house. Can you tell me where Natalie lives? He asked. Mark froze. She lives here. And what's your purpose in asking? The stranger just tilted his head, fixed his hair, and then suddenly asked, And you're her father, aren't you? Yes, I am. We need to talk. Mark invited his guest into the house. I'm listening carefully. I heard that Natalie had a wedding, except it wasn't for love. It was because you bribed the groom with an apartment. How do you know? Frightened Mark. So I'm not stupid. I figured it out myself. I came to you with the following reason. Natalie was pregnant by me. She had a terrible temper, and she threw me out, and that's why we broke up. If I had known that you would give an apartment for her, I would have married her at once. The boy looked at Mark and suddenly nodded his head cheerfully. By the way, I look at you and realize I like you so much. I wish I had a father like you. And let's become a real family. I won't be a stranger. I'm the real father of your grandson. I don't have any more apartments to give, Mark said quietly. So you've already done all the paperwork on that guy? So there's nothing you can do about it now? Can't we try? Mark was finally pissed off. The guy quickly ran out of the house and drove away. You old fool! The guy shouted one last time. Mark slowly opened the gate to his neighbor's house and stopped to admire it. In the middle of the yard, in the flowers, Natalie was sitting and weaving a wreath. Nearby, children were playing, each with a wreath of yellow flowers on her head. Papa, the girl whispered when she saw her father. Don't go, Papa. I'm not going anywhere, daughter. Mark shut the gate behind him. Then Kevin appeared. You're just in time. I don't have time here alone. I have to cook, look after the kids. There's also a kebab to grill. Will you help me? Mark walked over to his daughter, kissed her forehead, looked at her fondly, and turned to Kevin. Of course I will. I will always help you. He became very respectful of his daughter's husband after Kevin confessed to him. I can't do this. This apartment isn't mine. I'm giving it back to you. Here's all the paperwork. So you still haven't registered it for yourself? Wondered Mark. I didn't register this apartment for myself. And Natalie, if she doesn't want to live with me, I'll leave. And I'll earn my own apartment. The family stayed late into the evening. They did not want to leave. They sang songs around the fire and ate kebabs. It had been dark for a long time. Kevin was wrapping his jacket around Natalie's shoulders, and she was holding Kevin's sleeping little sister in her arms. Valerie and her neighbor were singing songs. Mark was looking at the stars, and when he saw Kevin furtively kissing Natalie on the lips, he smiled happily and thought, now I'm safe for my daughter.